Well everyone, it's that time again. We're getting a new season for Splatoon 3. Personally, I'm just really excited for this season because I feel like bucket players are really winning this season. We got a brand new slosher called the Wringer, the Sloshing Machine Neo, and the Bloblobber Deco. This is a channel that loves buckets, so let's talk about my thoughts and hopes for these specific weapons. If you're here to learn more about the new Splatling or the Gold Dynamo, I have one message for you.
Shut up! Get out!
Okay, I'm just kidding. I'll give my overall thoughts about the trailer at the end, so stay tuned. But for now, let's talk about the buckets. Let's first start off with Sloshing Machine Neo, because Machine is one of my favorite weapons in the game. Now, I'll be honest with you, there is no realistic kit that could top the vanilla version's kit. Fizzy Bomb is just the best sub for Machine, and Booyah Bomb is a great special that rounds out the synergy of that kit. That being said, Nintendo likes to look at past kits from Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 as inspiration for their kits in Splatoon 3, so we have 5 kits to look back at. Machine with Splat Bomb and Bomb Rush, Machine Neo with Point Sensor and Ink Zuka, Machine with Auto Bomb and Stingray, Machine Neo with Point Sensor and Bomb Rush, Kensa Machine with Fizzy Bomb and Splashdown. From this, we can clearly see Nintendo likes to give the Neo variant Point Sensor. As for the special, Bomb Rush is no longer in the game, so that leaves us with the successors of Ink Zuka, Stingray, and Splashdown, which are Trizuka, Killer Whale, and Reef Slider. Reef Slider would just give me a heart attack, so we're not even going to consider that for Sloshing Machine Neo, so we're just going to move on. Zuka would be a good option, but I think Killer Whale probably makes the most reasonable sense, where the machine can focus on chip damage and identifying the opponent. It also fulfills some Nintendo marketing images of Killer Whale and the Killer Whale Table Turf card, where we see a machine user alongside that special. Point Sensor and Killer Whale seems to be the most realistic. I'm not the only one that thinks that. FLC also said on Twitter, just show me the sensor and the whale, let's get this over with, because, you know, not getting a bomb is not always the greatest thing, but for me, as long as this kit is fun, I think I'm okay with that, because, you know, nothing's gonna get better than Fizzy Bomb and Booyah Bomb. Other players like Didi said that it's gonna get Auto Bomb and Killer Whale instead, which also still accomplishes is that, you know, that location type playstyle, which would be really cool. So overall, I think Point Sensor Killer Whale is probably what it's gonna be. All I'm expecting from the Neo variant is just to be fun. I don't expect it to be some crazy kit, so that's my overall thoughts on that one. Moving on to the Bloblobber Deco, and oh boy, this one is interesting because we actually got a glimpse of the subline from the ink tank. Pika actually shared a helpful picture on Twitter. From this, we can see that Blob Deco has a sub that costs 40% of ink. There's only one sub in this game that costs that, and that's Angle Shooter, or Line Marker as I like to call it. Now, before you say, oh my god, Line Marker, that's horrible, I actually think this is pretty good. Blob has never had a sub that does aggressive damage. It's only ever had Sprinkler and Wall in the past, so giving it a sub that can combo with the Blob in a fast moving game while giving it a mobility option is really good. Hypercopium is that the Blob has gear that has Inksaver sub, and this is actually a burst bomb, but who knows, I still think Line Marker is still really good for it. As for specials, NM actually shared a couple of kits with different subs before we found out and concluded that it's Angle Shooter or Line Marker. But what I think is interesting is adding Super Chumps to the Bloblobber Deco. I think Super Chump is probably the most likely because it mostly resembles what Suction Bomb Rush was in Splatoon 2. Not as aggressive, but you know, it's a special that goes in from a distance and paints up a particular area. I feel like this could contribute to a new playstyle for Blob that attempts to fight as opposed to just sitting back and painting like the vanilla variant does. I feel like giving it Line Marker and Super Chumps will allow it to be more aggressive and being able to push in. So I'm hopeful for this kit. It gives Blob players a new playstyle potential, so that's always a cool thing. Moving on to the new bucket, the Wringer. Now that's the name is kind of weird, but I just wonder what appliance it's probably referring to. Maybe it has to do with, you know, some type of appliance like, you know, sloshing machine, washing machine, you know, stuff like that. What's up everyone, Future Gus here. Just an FYI, I recorded this video prior to the announcement of what dreaded Wringer will be getting for its kit of Suction Bomb and Reef Slider. Before anybody comments saying, well, Gus, is Reef Slider gonna give you a heart attack with this weapon? I'm gonna tell you right now, that is not the case. I will reserve my thoughts for the new kit on a new future video, so for now, just enjoy what I initially wanted with the dreaded Wringer. The gimmick with this bucket, from what we saw in the trailer, is that it shoots 2 shots at once. It's basically a slosher, but with weaker damage. The cool thing that I think you'll be able to do with this weapon is its flicking potential. If you don't know, with slosher, you can flick and curve your shots. So with Wringer, if you flick, you could flick in 2 different directions, which I think could give you more coverage if people are fighting you. It is particularly weaker than the slosher, as I think it needs 3 sloshes to kill the enemy. So that has the downside to it, but I still think it's really cool. I'm very hopeful that this kit will be good. I'm just really happy we're getting a new bucket, if I'm being honest with you. Like before the 1-year mark, when we got the Nova, the Big Swig, and pencil, and then the new S-Blast and the paintbrush, I was really hopeful that they were going to continue giving us new weapons for each class, and we're finally here for the bucket. I didn't have to wait longer than a year. We saw some pictures by Alvar that he shared on Twitter. It looks like it has 70% of ink consumption for the sub. So there's 3 subs that fulfill that benchmark, which is Splat Bomb, Suction Bomb, and Curling Bomb. Given that Slosher already has Splat Bomb, maybe they won't give it that, but then again, they gave Blob and Explode Rain from the start, so it's always a possibility. I wouldn't mind any of those subs, to be honest with you. Splat, Suction, Curling, each have their own unique capabilities, so either one of them would be cool. As for special, I would just probably selfishly say I wanted to have Crab Tank, maybe because a bucket hasn't gotten Crab Tank. Actually, no weapon has gotten Crab Tank since launch, and I feel like giving it to the new bucket would probably be cool. I've always wanted to have a weapon that I play with that has Crab Tank because I just find it to be a very fun special. So I hope it gets it. Overall, I'm really happy with this update. Obviously, I'm biased because of the number of buckets they're adding to this new season. I will acknowledge that having only 8 kits sucks. And each season we keep getting less kits. There are weapons that will not have their second kit at the 1-year mark, and I just feel like that's very unfair for some players that play a particular weapon. Whether you play something like Explo or Nautilus, and seeing other shooters get a bunch of kits at the initial starts of different seasons, up to 3 pages of weapons in the game. So it's unfortunate, there's not much we can do about it, but all I can do is, say I look forward to whatever content that they're providing. As for the maps, I'm gonna withhold my judgments until playing on them. If there's anything that I learned in my previous videos about maps and my experience in playing competitive Splatoon, is to reserve my judgments of the stage until I actually play on it. I unfairly criticized Umami and Barnacle for having poor map design, but they've become some of my favorite maps for Splat Zones in competitive play. I'll wait until I play them to actually give my opinions on them. If there's at least one viable mode on those 2 new stages, I'm content, honestly. Well, what do you think about the update? What bucket are you excited to use? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.